Motherfucker. It is all that Celtic blood in you, man. Yeah. I'm like 50% Irish, 25% Scottish, and 25% English. They call people like me Islanders. Yeah, it doesn't get a lot whiter than that. I mean, the only way I could be whiter is if I had like some Swedish in me or something. It depends. No sweater vest. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to dress white. I mean, more so than I already do. 25% Dutch, 15% German, 50. I wish I had something else in me besides just pure honky, honestly. Because I think if you mix too many ethnicities that are like exactly the same together, you don't get a very attractive outcome. Like, I think interracial pairings result in more attractive children. Personally. I wish I had some black in me so I could act like a victim and be pissed off all the time. But I think all white people wish that. That's what I really liked about the whole atheist thing, like the whole secular humanist thing when I was doing it. I was like, wow, I can finally act like I'm a discriminated minority. This is what I've always dreamed about. But eventually I decided that was lame. And just went back to being myself. Friend of mine told me Asian white mixes can either be really good looking or really ugly. I think they're really good looking. I knew a black guy who only likes white women. Yeah, there's a lot of those. But I've never been sure if it's like really an attraction thing or like some kind of weird status thing. Oh, we got a picture to look at. Let's see. Yeah, she's alright. I like her hair. Why would anyone want to get surgery to look white? I thought only Michael Jackson was that much of a douche. Superior race. Oh, man. You know, the problem is ideas like that die hard, and I get the feeling that a lot of people probably do believe that still. And I don't just mean white people, I mean people of like other races too. Propaganda dies hard. Why don't I have some interracial kids? Because I don't have a interracial woman to have kids with. Are you a black woman that wants to have sex with me or something? I'll crank out some mulattoes right now. Let's do it. Oh, what? Not now, but in the future. Maybe I will. Maybe I fucking will. I don't know. I think an interracial relationship would be hard for me, though, because I'm a pretty racist-ass motherfucker. Like, I'm not a bigot or anything. I don't, like, think that white people are superior or, like, look down on the... Oh, yeah, totally, man. You didn't notice that? I believe, like, every stereotype I've ever heard. I'm one of those kind of people. I don't look down at other races, and I don't, like... I'm not, like, afraid of people of different colors and shit, and I don't, like, try to avoid people that are other races than me. But, I am a racist. I mean, I am, like... I think if I was in an interracial relationship, like, my girlfriend would always be pissed off at me, because... You know... I don't know, she'd like send me up to the store or something and I'd be like, oh, you want me to bring you back some grape soda? This. I was saying, I don't even remember what I was saying, dude. I think I was saying blah blah blah, I'm racist, blah blah blah. Or something to that effect. It is offensive. I mean, I'm not, like, personally that offended by it, but... Yeah, it's offensive as fuck. And, like, I don't get why you can say that on TV and nobody bats an eyelash, but you can't say, like, you know... Beaner, Dago, or Kike, or anything else. I mean, why am I part of, like, the only race that it's cool to bash? That's lame. White power is bad, but black and Asian power is bad too. Anybody who thinks their skin is a uniform is an asshole. Is it true that Hitler would have won the war if he launched Operation Sea Lion? I don't know anything about Operation Sea Lion. I don't watch the Hitlery channel that much. Or History channel, my bad. That sounds like something Failcard would say. I wonder about that kid sometimes. I don't think he's a supremacist, but I think he has leanings. I'll put it that way. I don't think he has like a lot of exposure to people from other cultures, you know. You've seen the shit that Failcard does with Danny, though, right? He says the most racist ass shit to her all the time. Yeah, you know, I don't know how much of that stuff he really believes and how much of it is just him trolling. But, I don't know, he comes from a family with a lot of cops, so it's like, how can you not be a little bit racist? It's going alright, Kira. How's it going with you? If you believe that Obama won't win his re-election, who would replace him? Some other douchebag. Sarah Palin, for all I fucking know. But who cares? Like, no matter who the president is, it's the same people that are directing the policy, and that's Wall Street. So it doesn't matter. I don't pay attention to the president. That's like watching American Idol to me. It's just, it's absolutely a waste of my fucking attention. the only reason that I don't think Obama is going to get reelected is because he failed to deliver on all his campaign promises, and the economy's in the toilet. I don't see how he could get. I don't see how any president could get reelected with those conditions, even if you do kill Osama bin Laden. What is the Democrats' counter argument to that? What is this genius counter argument that's going to somehow make us all forget that we're poor and starving? I'd love to hear this. We need a white guy? Well, the last white president wasn't so fucking great. What do you mean we need a white guy? I hope you're kidding. Not that it matters, because as I've said before, the president doesn't change anything. I don't care if he does get reelected. Fuck it. What does it matter? Is there anybody of the 11 people in my chat room right now who honestly believe that if McCain had won the election, we would be in a different situation right now? Are there really people out there believing stuff like that? It's a goddamn puppet show. He wouldn't have had the guts to kill Osama. Neither did fucking... Neither did Barack. It's not like he stripped his shirt off, put a knife between his teeth, and like jumped out of an airplane with a parachute and killed the motherfucker himself. You think so, Agama? I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. I disagree. Well, that may very well be, Agamemnon, but, you know, I guess it depends on whether or not you believe the president is the one calling the shots in the U.S. And it seems like you do, but I don't. I think the president's job, I think the president of the United States' job, no matter who that president happens to be, is to go around and greet foreign leaders and dignitaries on diplomatic errands, to smile for the cameras like a model, essentially, and to deliver speeches that are prepared for him. I don't think presidents do anything. Not even like an ambassador, because ambassadors have to be, you know, very skilled and more like a cheerleader, more like a spokesmodel, really. That's what I think, Rate Bob, or R8 Bob. It's kind of the way I look at it. Maybe you're right, Agamom, I don't know. But, you know, when the White House switches from Democrat to Republican and back again, it's not just that the country continues in the same overall direction and things remain the same in a general, overarching sort of way. But these specific little policies continue to move forward almost as if it's just the same party. You know? I mean, is that a coincidence? I just see the same policies like continuing to crawl forward and advance no matter who is in office. So I don't believe that. I just don't think it makes a difference. You're damn yeah. Michael Moore was right about that. Not about other things, but yeah. Citizen's arrest, well, in this instance, I think a citizen's arrest would be a revolution. And the shitty part is that if we have a revolution, we're going to wind up with something worse than we have now. Because people are going to want a dictator. We're a bunch of lemmings in this country that want to be ruled and told what to do. We don't like our freedoms in America. We're afraid of our freedoms. We want Big Daddy to protect us and keep us in line. So I think if there is a revolution, we're going to demand like some kind of Mussolini type figure. Well, then, not for the first time, I agree with TJ, if he said that. Because Michael Moore is a stupid liberal. Good enough answer? I love the guy, but I mean, he's a Bolshevik. He's a fucking American liberal. He's a commie. I'm sure you meant that as a joke, Twist Spear, but there may be an element of truth to it. You know, I researched gun laws in the U.S., gun restrictions, and if you go state by state and look up these laws, a lot of them have their origin in Jim Crow laws. Most of the gun control laws on the books, and like a big percentage too, are based in and Jim Crow laws. I figured that out when I was living in North Carolina, because there was a law on the books that to purchase a handgun, you have to get a handgun purchase license for each one from the local. I can't remember if it was the local sheriff's department or who it was, but in order to get this purchase license, you had to provide like 3 or 5 or some amount of references that are like people of good, upstanding moral character that say that you're responsible and you can have a gun. And I looked up the history of that law, and as it turns out, of course, people of good, upstanding moral character means white people. So in order to buy a gun, you have to have 5 crackers that say you can handle a gun. And I thought that was so strange that I started looking up laws in other states, and there's a lot of shit like that still on the books. Oh, ammo prices are already going up. Alright, Bob. But if we take an elitist policy and just make guns so fucking expensive that only rich people can afford them, which they've already kind of tried to do in a lot of ways. That's what the whole Saturday night special legislation was all about. It's basically making cheap guns illegal so that poor people can't defend themselves. When you do that, you reduce gun crime, but you don't reduce overall crime. You just have people mugging you with a knife. I'd rather get shot than stabbed, personally. This is me. It's just a matter of preference. Well, since England passed its handgun ban, home invasions and burglaries are like per capita twice what they fucking are in the US. Because they know people don't have guns. They know you don't have a fucking gun. They'll just break into your damn house. I find that funny. But it's a tired old argument that everybody knows. I mean, criminals don't follow laws. That's why they're criminals. So gun control disarms the law-abiding people and not the criminals. But we've all heard that argument before. Well, it's so circular. Like, gun control arguments are like religious arguments. It just goes around and around. Personally, I'd like to see every man, woman, and child in the world armed. And the reason for that is that I think when only a small percentage of the population are armed, and I'm not talking about who has access to the guns. I mean, whether you live in a place where it's legal for you to own a gun or not, if you do not exercise that right and you're unarmed, and only a small percentage of the people have guns, then the people who have guns are like superheroes. It's like they have a power. They have a superpower. You know? But if we all had them, then everybody with a gun would just be another schmuck. You'd just be another schmuck with a gun. You wouldn't have this crazy advantage. Because I enjoyed cowboys and Indians? No, actually, I grew up as a fucking liberal, man, and I never touched a gun until I was staring down 30 years old. I grew up hating guns. I'm from fucking Connecticut, man. Nobody has a gun in Connecticut except the cops. I'm not from the gun culture, but I came to that on my own because it's what I believe. My opinion on guns is that they're not going away anytime soon. We're never going to get rid of all of them. So that being the case, the only way to level the playing field is for everybody to have them. And the sad thing is that you're never going to achieve that, even if gun restrictions are almost non-existent and guns are cheap and plentiful. A lot of people just aren't going to want to touch them. A lot of people are going to want to make their self-defense somebody else's responsibility. That's the cop's job. That's the Army's job. I think guns are scary and dirty, and I don't want to have anything to do with them. Let somebody else handle that. Well, that's fine. But if you outsource your responsibility to protect yourself to somebody else, you're creating problems. You're shirking your fucking responsibility. What do first-person shooters have to do with anything? Are you just making the point that human beings are violent? Yeah, we are. We're violent as fuck. We're depressingly violent animals. And that's all the more reason that if you're gonna live among other human beings, you better fucking be able to defend yourself. We're not going to change anytime soon. We're not going to wake up tomorrow in a world where people resolve their differences through rational discussion instead of fucking violence. That's how life works. Get used to it, you know? And I'll never give my shit up. I don't care if they fucking prohibit guns across the board tomorrow and I become a criminal. I don't care. I'm never giving my shit up. Angela Bassett. Off the top of my head. I mean, I'm sure if I sat here and thought about it, the answer might change. But, I think she's pretty hot. Now, did they just kick your ass because you're white, or was there something else you're not telling? Is there something else you're not telling us about? Is that the only reason, Math? You sure you didn't do anything to provoke them? You didn't say some dumb shit? I mean, even if you were sitting there dropping N-bombs, I still don't think that would justify what they did. Because I think we should all be able to say whatever the hell we want, but, that would make it a little bit more understandable. Are you just gonna go through, like, race by race and ask me who the sexiest person is? Tension between their ethnics? What does that mean? I don't get it. Oh, yeah, sure. And I don't really understand that either. You know, I don't understand why, like, a Japanese guy would get super offended if you thought he was Chinese. Because, like, if somebody thought I was German or something, I wouldn't get super offended. I'd be like, no, I'm Irish. It's like, what's the big deal? I don't get that. I mean, I've even had people think I was Jewish. That's happened a lot. Probably thanks to this. I get it all the time, man. All the time. I don't understand it. I mean, like, I've got red hair. But people say that to me sometimes. They're like, "Oh, are you Jewish?" No. I didn't know Seth Rogen was Jewish. Yeah, figures. He's in entertainment and they control the media. That's a joke. Well, Seth is a Jewish name, but I didn't know that Rogan was a Jewish name. Jew is a race? Yeah, of course it is. It's an ethnicity and it's a religion. It's both. You can be an ethnic Jew, or you can be a religious Jew, or you can be both an ethnic and religious Jew. Snoop Dogg is a Muslim now? Since when? I don't fucking think so. That's new on. That's new on me. Yeah, Bill Maher is a bastard. I don't like that guy. No, that's not true. All right, Bob. The Jews are a separate, distinct race apart from other Semitic peoples. They're not the only Semitic ethnicity. Like other Arab peoples are Semitic, but look up something called Tay-Sachs disease on Wikipedia. I think, you know, if it's a pretty good way to tell if an ethnicity exists or not, if there's a special disease that only you can get, like sickle cell anemia for fucking black people. Jews have something like that too. It's called Tay-Sachs. I don't have a link. I'll spell it though. It's like Tay. I think I'm spelling this right. And it's syndrome, I'm pretty sure. Well, dude, all races are separate by the right of inbreeding. I mean, that's what race is. You know? We're all somewhat inbred. Oh man,
trying to figure out
this is going to piss me off. I already know.
He has inspired are trying to attack us. And I believe what you say, and I think it's more about our policy than our way of life. But would you grant me this, that as long as there is an Israel in the world, and I'm a big supporter of Israel, as long as America backs it, the kind of Muslims that take their religion that seriously, that they would strap on a suicide belt, are always going to be out for us and always going to be trying to kill us.
I think we can reduce it very seriously, sir. I disagree with you on Israel, but...
in what way?
All right, right off the bat, Bill Maher has made the insinuation that any Muslim who takes their religion seriously is going to be a suicide bomber. So right off the bat, he's already a fucking asshole. Just got to point that out, but I'm going to keep watching.
You're not a supporter.
I hope Israel flourishes. I just don't think it's worth an American life or an American dollar.
You don't think the existence of Israel in the world is worth an American life or an American dollar?
Not only Israel, sir, but Saudi Arabia or Kuwait or Bolivia. I'm much
You're really not telling me that Israel is on a par with Saudi Arabia.
I'm telling you...
What the fuck is that supposed to mean?
In the survival of the United States.
Bill Maher's a fucking prick.
But Israel is a democracy in a part of the world that has none.
So what, sir? It doesn't matter to Americans if anyone ever votes again.
It doesn't...
We'll get by. We'll get by just fine, sir.
I wouldn't.
I like this guest.
I wouldn't get by.
I like this guy. He's trolling.
Like back in 1973, when Israel's very existence was threatened in the Yom Kippur War, and we did come to their aid, we shouldn't have done that, and we shouldn't do it again?
What I'm saying, sir, is we should have revisited the situation after 1973 and not be the unqualified sole supporter of Israel at the moment. I think it earns America tremendous pain and increasingly dead Americans fighting wars that are not ours to fight.
But you did say, I mean, after 9/11, you said the only way to win is to kill more of the enemy
Yes, sir.
anywhere we can without a great deal of concern for civilian casualties.
Yes, sir. I said that exactly.
You still believe that? You
Absolutely.
still believe that's the way to win, is to kill our way out of it?
That's part of it, sir. The other part is what Mr. Paul has said, is to stop intervening in their world except when it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Well, I didn't like him to begin with, so no big revelation there. Michael, you know, Bill Maher. I almost called him Michael Moore because he's like the other sacred cow of liberals in America. Bill Maher exhibits like the worst traits of liberals and conservatives. It seems like he takes the worst of both worlds. He's like this heavily pro-gun control authoritarian guy. He's a Zionist. I mean, like every shitty fucking viewpoint. He seems to have the whole gamut covered. I don't know why the fuck they gave that dude a show. Have you ever seen his acting, like back when he was in movies and shit? He fucking sucks. His stand-up sucks too. Religious suck too. Well, the interviewee didn't say that. You didn't get that quite right. The interviewee didn't say that he doesn't believe U.S. lives are worth Israeli lives. He said that U.S. lives aren't worth preserving the state of Israel. I don't think he's saying that the life of an American is worth more than the life of an Israeli. He's just saying the life of an American is worth more than preserving the idea of the state of Israel, which I agree with. Any life is worth more than the idea of any fucking state. Yeah, I wasn't expecting much from that flick, but it was worse than I thought it was going to be. It was so stupid. And it's been too long since I don't remember all my criticisms of it. When it first came out, I could have given you like a list of reasons of why it sucked, but now it's been so long, all I remember is not liking it. And I ain't gonna watch it again. Monotheisms don't exist solely to cause conflict and confrontation. Human beings exist solely to cause conflict and confrontation, and we create monotheisms. Secular humanists reverse the cause and effect. It's that simple. I like Mos Def. I mean, you know, if CIA involvement results in a bunch of pissed off and disenfranchised people that decide they have an axe to grind and they come and attack us, like, isn't that an inside job in a way? I mean, isn't you know, the truthers have the right basic idea. They're just wrong on the details. It was an inside job, essentially. It's just not the way they think. Because Obama's black. Of course. I'm not saying, Mental Darkness, that all black people are universally going to support Obama. But a guy like Mos Def, who's famous, probably feels like he has a responsibility as a public figure to, you know, show support for America's first black president. I don't think it's a stretch to believe that. I'm sure that's something that's crossed his mind. You know, secretly he might feel differently. We won't know. But Mos Def is a smart guy. I'm sure he must realize that Obama sucks on some level. I agree with Mos Def about that. Iran does have as much right to nuclear weapons as anybody else does. Who are we to say that they don't? To quote Ahmadinejad himself, like, you know, if it's good for you, then it should be good for us too. And if it's a bad thing and we shouldn't have it, then you shouldn't have it. He really said it all. I mean, how can you fucking argue with that? It's such simple logic. Oh, he believes that Iran should have it and the US shouldn't? Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Okay. You got me there. But are you sure that he didn't just mean that we should disarm some and still, because, you know, we can disarm a lot of fucking warheads and still have vast nuclear superiority. That might have been what he meant. He might not have meant for us to become completely defenseless. Well, Math, nobody should have nuclear weapons, but, you know, Hershey bars should grow on trees, and I should be Sarah Silverman's boyfriend, and, you know, I should be able to flap my arms real fast and fly. I mean, it's what does should have to do with it? You know, if I could have a nuke, I'd totally get one. Like, if I come across somebody that's got weapons grade plutonium and they're willing to sell it to me, I'm gonna fucking buy it myself. I'd love to be the first. I really don't understand why they killed that guy. I think it's such a shame. I mean, if nothing else, he was an interesting guy. I would have liked to have seen him live to write his prison memoirs or some shit. I'd read it. I think the proof that Osama bin Laden is dead is the fact that Al Qaeda has not released a video of him alive controverting the assertion that he's dead. Because I think if he was not dead, that's the very first thing they would do. They'd say, nope, here he is right here, see him? Maybe they're building tension. No, I don't think the jihadi movement is like Hollywood producers during Sweeps Week or some shit. Like I don't think they care about tension. Yeah, I've heard that theory. All right, Bob. I've heard the claim that he's actually been dead for like 8 or 9 years, and they're just saying. But I mean, to the people that are making that claim, do you guys have any evidence besides like your opinion? Like, do you have anything to back that assertion up with besides the idea that, you know, it seems like something a president would do in order to get reelected? That's not convincing enough for me. I don't find that. I mean, yeah, like, Obama does have a motive to fake the killing of Osama bin Laden to get reelected. I'll admit the motive is there, but motive is not enough. There's got to be some more proof than that before you're going to sell me. I mean, I hope that if someone who I dislike gets killed, I don't end up going to jail just because I had the motive. Like, I hope we don't live in the kind of world where that is enough to convince people. You know, that's not enough to convince me. Do you speak Arabic? Because I fucking don't. So somebody can take some footage from a Pakistani news show and caption it to say whatever the fuck they want, and I don't know if that's what they're really saying. I mean, how do you know? How do you know that's what the woman on the newscast is really saying? Somebody can make a fucking YouTube video and just caption whatever the hell they want. The upload date was 8 or 9 months ago, so what? Osama bin Laden was famous 8 or 9 months ago. You know how many times there have been rumors that I was dead on YouTube floating around? Fake Sagan's dead, Fake Sagan got killed. I can think of at least 5 separate times. And I ain't even that famous. We're talking about Osama bin Laden. That's not enough, man. I'm talking about real evidence. There was, oh yeah, mental darkness. There totally was. The most recent time was after the free speech vids fundraiser thing on blogTV. Like there were like 2 weeks when we let everybody think I was dead, and that time was deliberate. Like that one was a deliberate hoax. So we were like, oh, let's just tell people I bled to death, and we just ran with it. But it's happened other times when I didn't have anything to do with it. There were just these rumors. I would stop making videos for 2 weeks, and there would be rumors like he's dead. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about, Agamo. But I'm just saying, if there can be so many rumors like that about a schmuck like me, then how many more must there be about somebody who's really famous like Osama bin Laden? So even if you've got videos from like 2 years ago announcing his death, that's not enough to convince me the guy's dead. I mean, people have been speculating that Osama bin Laden was dead for years. I've heard that rumor for a long time. But you don't fucking, I mean, you know, people were speculating that Osama bin Laden was dead for the exact same reason that people on YouTube used to spread rumors that I was dead. The motherfucker stopped making videos. All you gotta do is stop making videos for a week and people think you're dead. That's all it takes. I'm sure he has, Urban. Yeah, TJ doesn't stop making videos long enough for rumors like that to get started, really. Good point, Math. No, they're more like videos where he, you know, calls for the death of Americans and so forth. I mean, it's, you know, the sad fact is, I don't know what the hell any of those Al-Qaeda videos say, and neither do you, because neither you nor I speak Arabic, so all we have is what the mainstream media tells us. You know, if you see a video of Ayman al-Zawahiri talking about whatever the hell, like, how do you know that's really what he's saying? I think about that stuff. I mean, we don't fucking know. That's what sucks about the language barrier. They could be lying to us. Maybe Osama bin Laden was in all those videos talking about his heartfelt sympathies for the family members of 9/11 victims. I don't think that's the case, but who fucking knows? I don't speak Arabic. You gotta maintain a skeptical point of view at all times. There's always people trying to fucking pull the wool over your eyes. Who would believe them, crummy little toady? I'm just saying, like, you know, I mean, obviously this is a little bit tongue in cheek, but really, like, you can't fight with the mainstream media is like City Hall. You can't fight them, you know. You can't compete with that credibility. I could. And if I found out that they were lying to us, who would believe me? Your faithful viewers. Oh, please. All 5 of them. I'll be right back. As already know, I live in Louisiana. And where I live, there are these municipal trucks that drive down my street once every few months, and they spray these clouds of chemical bullshit in the air. Like I see these trucks going down the street spraying chemicals. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? So I looked it up, and as it turns out, the county I live in has a mosquito abatement district. It's some bullshit little local government thing where they spray toxic pesticides to kill the mosquitoes. And, you know, I went to the county website, and I looked up, and I was basically trying to figure out what is the big deal. Like, why are we so afraid of mosquitoes that we're going to spray some really nasty carcinogenic chemicals in our neighborhoods where people's pets and children are like playing in it and breathing in it, and it seeps down into the water table. And I have well water. I mean, I have well water at my house, so this shit pisses me off. And as it turns out, the reason that they do this is because of West Nile virus. Do you guys remember West Nile virus? You remember when that was all over the news and the TV stations and the newspapers for like 5 minutes and you couldn't get away from it? Right. Well, you know, obviously I don't like the idea of pesticides in my well water, so I decided to research West Nile virus, you know, and when it was all over the news, I didn't give a fuck. I didn't care enough to do the research. I was just like, oh, cool, there's something new to be scared of. It's a good time to be an American. But, you know, I looked it up, and as it turns out, there's only one type of mosquito that transmits the disease, and it lives in the tree canopy. It's a type of mosquito that doesn't hang out low to the ground. They live way up high in the trees where the pesticides won't reach them, so it's totally pointless. And furthermore, of everyone who gets infected with West Nile virus, and I'm not making this up, you can look it up on Wikipedia yourself, of everyone who becomes infected, fewer than 8% will even exhibit a symptom. And the number of people who get infected is already really low to begin with. You got to keep that in mind. I mean, this is like a non-existent thing, but if you get infected, fewer than 8% of people who get infected will even show a symptom. You'll go through the whole disease and never know you had the disease. You know, the moral of the story is the media in this country is full of shit. They're liars. They lie all goddamn day. You can't believe a fucking thing these motherfuckers say. And that's just one example. I don't trust those cocksuckers as far as I can throw them. The only media I pay attention to anymore is independent media. I got tired of being made a fool of. This all they do is just blow smoke up your ass all day. Oh, it's unbelievable, Agamon. It's fucking unbelievable. And if I were the paranoid type of person, which luckily I'm not, I might suspect that maybe the petrochemical industry that produces these pesticides made a little backdoor deal with the media. I know it sounds paranoid. Not to sound like Von Helton here or anything. But the original point, which I kind of diverged from, is you can't trust the media in America. They're full of shit. I don't care what they say. Do. And number two, like, you know, of course they're putting toxic chemicals in jet fuel. They put toxic chemicals in gasoline. There's toxic additives in every kind of fuel. Fuel isn't good for you, you know. And the most toxic thing is the carbons themselves, the petrochemicals themselves. I mean, you know, it's not good for you to suck on the tailpipe. You know, there are chemtrails. Yeah, they're chemtrails. It's nasty stuff, sure. Oh, is that what they're saying, Twist? It's mine. There's there are nanites in the jet exhaust fuel that are controlling our minds. I don't know. I've heard Alex Jones talking about chemtrails, but he never really gets specific about what this stuff is supposed to do to you. I don't understand what the purpose is supposed to be. Did it make? So it's the same as fluoride in the water, right? It's just they're supposed to make us submissive and dumb. You know what? Guys like Alex Jones that talk about fluoride and chemtrails and a nefarious plot to make Americans stupid and submissive. Why isn't he talking about like American Idol and shit? I mean, they're doing a lot of stuff to make us idiots. They don't need chemicals for that. Look no further than the media, getting back to my original point. He doesn't believe Osama's... Of course he doesn't. If Alex Jones ever believes the official version of a story, I would think that something was horribly wrong. If Alex Jones ever, like, got on his YouTube channel or his radio talk show or whatever and said, and just reported a headline the same way it's told to us by the mainstream media or an official press release from the government, if he just accepted something then I would get paranoid. I would think that they had I would think the Bilderberg group had replaced Alex Jones with a replicant android, and that we were all about to die. I would fucking flip out at that point. The stuff Alex Jones says doesn't scare me, but if Alex Jones ever starts to sound like a sane person, then I'm gonna be terrified. I'm really gonna think it's the end of the fucking world if that happens. An article? Just an article in some periodical, not like an internal memo or document, or what does that prove? So like, are you telling me that like conspiracy crackpots are like citing one another as references now, like they're doing peer review? That's what passes for evidence now? Alright, later, Kunda. Maybe I'll do a 24-hour blog TV. Seems to be going in that direction. He believes the article predicted how it happened. Oh, man. I don't know what to say. Alex Jones is Alex Jones. I'm a big fan, actually. I listen to Alex Jones a lot. I listen to his radio show, and I watch his videos occasionally on YouTube. But half of what the guy says is ridiculous. What am I saying? More than half. I mean, there's a few things Alex Jones says that I can get on board with. What bothers me the most about Alex Jones, though, and I say this a lot, so you guys have probably heard me mention it before, because every time someone brings him up, I always bring up this criticism. What bothers me the most about Alex Jones is that he's so perceptive when it comes to the elite conspiracies of the day. Like, he can see who the wealthy elites are that are making life miserable for the rank and file. And yet, he venerates the founding fathers like they're gods, when the founding fathers were the douchebag elite bastards of their day. I mean, they were the guys. They were the Bilderberg group of 1776. They were the wealthy elites sending people off in wars to die. Like, how come you can see that now, but you can't see it retroactively when everything is much clearer with the benefit of history? It's ridiculous. He denied the Blitz. What's the Blitz? I don't know what that is. Well, if Alex Jones thinks that, then he's never cracked a history book. I mean, if you really read about the founding fathers, they were fucking horrible. These guys owned slaves, a lot of them, and no, it wasn't normal at the time. I love it when people use that fucking rationale. Oh, everybody owned slaves back then. Bullshit. Bull fucking shit. The wealthiest fucking 2% owned slaves. That was it. George Washington conscripted people into service in the Continental Army. If you had $5 to pay for a replacement, you didn't have to fight for America. You know, you say, "Oh, sorry, General Washington. Here's $5. Make some other poor schmuck die in my place." That's the worst kind of elitism I've ever heard of. I mean, that's worse than like college draft deferments during Vietnam. That's way worse. It's so blatantly classist. Hamilton wanted the U.S. presidency to be he wanted a president for life. He wanted a dictatorship. I mean, these guys were fucking horrible, all of them. Adams, Jefferson, they were fucking the worst elitist wealthy bastards. They were terrible. I can't fucking understand why guys like Alex Jones, who, you know, they hate the Federal Reserve, they hate the bankers, they hate Wall Street. They think that the wars of today are used to turn poor people into cannon fodder and advance the agenda of the wealthy, which they are. Why does he have this blind spot for history? Why can't he see that the people who founded this country were the same kind of motherfuckers? I don't get that at all. I don't get why everybody has these rose-colored glasses for the founding fathers. You found a lot of connections for your family, Agamemnon. Sounds like you're as American as apple pie. Got Mayflower in you and everything, dude. I'm about to stick a feather in your cap and call it macaroni. Where do you live, R8, Bob? I take it you don't live in the U.S., because I can't imagine how you wouldn't know who the Founding Fathers are if you do. Ah, you're in the UK. Yeah. The Founding Fathers are the guys that like, made life hell for you guys back in the day. It refers to George Washington, it refers to Thomas Jefferson, it refers to Benjamin Franklin. You know, the people who founded the United States in its current incarnation. That's a good question, Twist. I really don't know the answer to it. But I do know one thing. In the example of Australia, everybody in the United States seems to know that the UK used to send uh, prisoners to Australia, and Australia kind of started as a penal colony. That's like a widely known bit of trivia. But what not a lot of people know is that they began by sending convicts to the U.S. before it was the U.S. And then after the American Revolution, that's when they started sending them to Australia, because they couldn't send them here anymore. So we're a nation of criminals too. We make fun of Australians for that, but it's the pot calling the kettle black. Well, you know, I mean, if we really want to get into the details of this, the American colonies were worth more to the UK than Canada was, for one thing. The British Empire essentially had a lot of slave colonies in the New World. They grew, you know, they were importing New World crops. They were importing tobacco and sugar cane and cotton, etc., so forth. And they had colonies in the U.S. and the West Indies and so forth. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought. It's getting late. 5:14 a.m. Should probably go soon. The French and Spain, yeah, they had a huge influence, sure. The word kidnapping actually comes from a practice in England where there was a professional class, I don't know if you would call them a guild or whatever, of people called spirits that would go around and just grab street urchins. They would just grab like poor people's kids right off the streets, even in places like London, and just ship them off in chains to the New World. They just send them off to America. They would call that being spirited away. That's another thing that's remained part of our language. And the laws became increasingly draconian to the point where any minor infraction that you would do, like even if you get caught stealing a loaf of bread, oh, you got to get deported off to America. You got to go to Jamestown, to the colonies, and go be a slave. So we began as like a nation of slaves, essentially, white and black. And I don't really know why Canada didn't rebel, but I get the feeling there probably wasn't as much economic pressure on them. They probably remain loyal to the crown because it was like it was more in their interests. I would only assume. It always comes down to money. Yeah, that's a great anime, Agamom. I've seen that one. I had it on DVD for a while, actually. Did he also make Princess Mononoke? Is that the same guy? Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, that guy is good. He makes good shit. Are supposed to go through a natural transition and a maturation process where they become parliamentary democracy. Maybe that's how it's supposed to work. And because we violently threw off the monarchy, instead of making that transition into parliamentary government, maybe, some of the flavor of monarchy has remained. And it's still like more of a part of who we are than it should be. I don't know. I don't have the answers to this stuff. But I look around and shit, I wouldn't mind living in Canada or the UK. They seem to have it better than we do, in a lot of ways. In some ways, not so much.